All right, let's get started. Um, cool. Let's see. So, so bpython again. This thing where we have this fun completion stuff. Great. All right, now I actually have a system set up, so I'm not hearing myself again. Okay. No, that's not true. It's still going. All right. Hello. Um, all right. So the gist is we've got this fun tab completion here. Now I've got, you see this parens at the end of these? So that's new. I have that working now. The issue is that, I'm sure Alexander already knows all this stuff, but so when you have some kind of object in Python, like this string here, there's some data that's actually stored on that object, and then there's some things like methods that are actually stored on the class. So objects belong to some class, and then that class might have superclasses. So there's this inheritance thing going on. So if I'm looking at this capitalized thing, it's displayed, when I say s dot something here, something called, I'll call it method resolution order or attribute lookup, I want to call it in Python, happens, where first we look at, let's maybe use some custom objects, so it'll be easier. So if we have some class, it's pretty simple, and I make one here, and I'm going to put a B on it. If I say f.c, first place we look is at this thing's dict, and I'm a little surprised it just doesn't have one. Okay, that's annoying that didn't tab complete. So that's a bug to write down. So cool. So that thing may be in the actual storage space for that object, like B is here. Another place it might be is in that foo object, which also has a dictionary where it stores its stuff. In this case, we see A here. So that's all fine. So our job when we're trying to do attribute completion here would be to walk the same way that Python does and figure out, whoop, that's noisy, figure out what stuff is on there. Dir is this helper function that sort of does that for us, for objects that are defined. All right. If we look at F, it'll say, like, hey, here's some stuff that I found on F. The way I found it was by looking at F and then looking at its class. So this is great. The next step that we had to go through, which we're already doing in bpython, is figuring out if these things are callable. If, when we tab complete them, we should put parens on them. Unlike Ruby or something, where there's like deep differences between things that you can call and you can't. These are really, some of these things are, well, that's maybe not fair. Some of these things are simple, like this, and some are, let's say this. So, these objects, we have ones like A, which is just a number, and then if I'm going to go up and kind of, what's it called, time travel and change what foo is here. If foo the whole time, it also had a method. And when we look at that thing, method, we need a paren there because it is a kind of object that can be called. In this case, it's a method. So there are different kinds of objects, ones that can't be called like this and ones that can. We want to tab complete the ones that you can call with this paren here. Some stuff, there are some concerns here where we have to evaluate that object to find out if it's callable or not, or that's one we could do it. Here, this isn't too bad. And f.method, I can look at that, look at that, and find out that it's a method. It's a callable thing. There's even a callable thing here I could use. .method. Great, it is callable. F.a, not callable. All right, so we've seen all that, but things get complicated when we get into descriptors. So there are sometimes doing attribute access, so the thing with a dot, doing f dot something actually causes arbitrary code to run. So our concern is that in the process of getting the object that we're trying to tab complete to find out if it's callable, we may cause side effects we don't want to happen. So for example here, a built-in, these are called descriptors, things that have these side effects, things that, well, they do something when you look up the variable. They're like getters and setters are a good example, and properties are a nice way to make getters and setters. So this is an instance of properties kind of descriptor. And there's this, making it more complicated, there's this neat decorator syntax. Basically, let's not use that. Let's say p equals property, and I'm going to pass in a function that does, nope, I'm going to write a function, so there's no more silly syntax, called getter. So we can see how this normally works. We'll do it in like a very normal way. I messed up a bit here. Let's fix that. Let's call this under x, and so value print getting x, print setting x. All right, so this is our basic little descriptors tutorial here. So if I have one of these and I have these methods, right? And I can use these as getters and setters, which is kind of cool. Sorry, let's get x, and it comes out and says it's 2 because there's this under x thing, which is like the real instance variable, which is 1, and it's like I'm in some language with real data hiding. It's like I'm in I don't know, like Objective-C or Ruby or Java or C or something. C++, I guess I mean. All right. The issue here is that we can use our convenient old syntax for this by saying x equals property of get x, set x. All right. Now if I say f.x, well, we're already seeing some of the problems with this because we're calling it for tab completion. But if we are careful not to tab complete dot x, oh, that was bad naming, f dot x, f, darn. I can do this. Dot x space f end. Great. If we have this, when I run this code, which is the thing I'd need to do in our tab completion just to find out if it's callable or not, we could find out that, you know, that could cause side effects that we don't want to happen in our tab completer. So when I run this code, it says getting x to. Really what I wanted was just to know if this was callable or not, and if it's going to require me to run arbitrary code to get the object in the first place, I'd rather not touch it. So our goal is to write something that can deal with this. Now there's probably already things that deal with this. Maybe even the standard library, definitely in other, I bet IPython has something like this. I know Jedi has something kind of like this. But we're going to try to do it ourselves, sort of to better understand this problem. So our current state here is that our currently failing test is exactly this problem. We should have run it to display the test since it failed, but the idea here, great, is that whoops, that's wrong. Oh, in autocomplete. Okay, let's look at the code that's triggering this. All right, in safe eval. Oh, that's not really fair. That's not what's triggering this. Let's look at this. Line 27. All right. Here we have a test. Oh darn, this isn't even a good test. So our first goal is to write a test that fails when we try to do completion of something with properties. Here we're trying to test that safe eval doesn't do properties, but that's not something safe eval is even supposed to do. So this is going to go away, and nothing else is failing, I assume. So we need to write a test for the current scary behavior, which is that when you're tab completing, as we saw before, we could get bad things to happen. So I'm confirming that it's kind of a silly thing to be doing. I'm just running keys that I typed automatically. Okay, great. So we're going to write a test that can fail right now because we have this bad behavior, right? The thing we described before. And this is where we should be better to have like a nicer history feature, which is too bad. Where was the version with the property? Oh, okay. So the thing that we're trying to test is that this doesn't happen. I don't want this to happen. There could be things that say maybe it's a network request, like when you access an attribute, it goes out to the network and grabs something. Lots of APIs do this. Maybe it's like a database thing where when I don't want to do this on tab completion. So I'm willing to give up on trying to know if it's going to be a callable object or not, if that object's not like immediately within reach. I don't want to run code to get it. Okay, so this is a reasonable example. We could go that. Test, because this is going to be in completion, I guess. Autocomplete. So let's get this high-level test failing. I don't know what I'm looking for. Attribute adder completion. Cool. Testing adder completion. Great. All right, cool. Right now, we build the completer and we say, you know, I hope that if I complete with the cursor in the, in this spot here, if the current line was this thing and the cursor were here, and the current environment was a dictionary where A pointed to an instance of this foo class, where foo is this thing, I would hope that that would return this list of things. This test is passing right now because we do successfully put that open paren on it. However, if calling method had side effects, that would be a problem. So we ought to recreate this. This is a good test though, so I'm going to keep that and then make another one. Looks like I was already in the middle of this. We were trying to make a property that asserts when called. Oh, right, because we were using this for the other thing. So now we're going to say test at descriptors not called. Descriptor attributes. Okay, so we're going to create one of these things, p equals properties, and p has a method which asserts when it's completed. So we're just going to do this stuff with this. I'm hoping to get just a dot without knowing what it is. So we build a completer, and then we say, I hope if I call that completer like this, meaning my cursor's there on this line, and A points to this properties object, that what I get back is this, and implicitly that it doesn't raise this other kind of error. So let's run that. Those tests. Cool. That failed. Great. And now we're going to think about what we need to do to fix this. So now we're going to look somewhere else in inspection. We're starting to write some of the plumbing for this. What we've done so far, in fact, what we should probably commit. This is a good way to go over what I've done so far. So I have some refactoring that I'm going to commit now because everyone was passing after that. Whoops. I should use get onstage-p. I know that's a thing. You remember that. Right, I'm going to keep my refactoring now, and keep that. Also remove that test. Don't add this yet. And to this stuff, sure, that's fine. Oh no! Oh no! It doesn't. You can't see the most important part where I'm actually typing things. Doot. Nope, there it is. There it is. And you can even have my clock. Well, you can't see it because it's over there. I guess you don't need my clock. Thank you. Another thing to check. Everyone talks about having multiple monitors for streaming. Maybe that's a... I guess that's sort of a different thing. That's to see your chat and stuff. Okay. Yes, this was from the refactoring earlier. Get commit. Refactor. This is the stuff we just did now, which is add this failing test. Great. Test descriptor attribute. Okay, so now add failing test for running descriptor attributes. Okay, so it was working fine. Huh, maybe I might have impulsively like just moved it or something. I don't know. Okay, so we need to somehow prevent this from happening. Our overall like attempt at doing this, I think, is going to be one thing we could do is implement the method lookup ourselves. So look at this object, ask it who its parent is, go up there and manually look through its attributes, looking for descriptors. That seems like it would be a safer way to do it. That's, I think, the one I want to pursue now. So the general flow, and I can show you the code for this in autocomplete, is an attribute completion so we're going to get a full list using the built-in, well, using things like, I think we use dir somewhere, don't we? Yeah, attribute lookup. We're dir of this. So this is a built-in. I don't know how it works. I think it cheats a bit, or it does things that would be hard to do in Python. I assume it's not written in Python. That's maybe not fair. So our goal is we're going to grab all the candidates, and then in here, when we're doing this line of code right here, where it says scary, this is where we're actually getting the attribute on object. The attribute we're getting is word. We're going to get that in a more safe way, is our goal. So ways to do that. I mean, the one I'm thinking of is basically re-implementing lookup. So walking up the method resolution order ourselves. So let's look at that a little bit. So there's this method resolution order thing, whereby if we have a class foo of, let's use new style class, we're going to do all this stuff just for new style classes. Okay, so this is the thing I said would be in here. Python, there are old style and new style classes. Python did a pretty good job at maintaining back compatibility while it was in, like, during the Python 2 stages anyway. And so it's been around for a long time, but gotten better. So some of the incremental improvements they made, they had to keep back compatible. And this means we have two kinds of classes. So I'm in Python 2 right now. If I do class and I don't put object in here, this is going to be called an old style class. And if I make one, or if I look at it, oops, it says, hey, I'm a class, but if I make a bar that inherits from object here, then bar is this. So that's not really obvious. The repers are just different, but if we ask about their types, we'll see something different. Type of foo, type of bar. Basically, types and classes were sort of combined. And we're just going to look at those. That's what most people use, but we have to keep in mind that there are some old style classes around in Python 2, and that, whoops. So we'll have to write our code to work with that, and we'll have to write test cases to do that. All right, so, but ignoring that for a moment, so we're just going to work with new style classes. A equals 10, class as of bar. All right, so if I call dir on foo, we see a bunch of stuff, more stuff than I kind of wanted. I just wanted to talk about A, B, and Z. So foo.a, you can see that it's nice to tab complete's cool. Python's got that right. But we could do that just by calling dir and getting this list. That's what we do, and we just don't complete these for a little bit. Oh, cool. So I think it's neat that we actually get to see on these that weakref is not a method, but these ones are. That is kind of cool. All right. I do not understand what that means. Presumably it's just none if there aren't any to it. Is that where it keeps track of it? Okay. So if I had to write my own code to correctly do this stuff, right, have foo.a, foo.b, foo.z all come up, I would start with the method resolution order, which is not a thing on objects, just on classes. So I'd be like class of, is that a thing? I'd be like foo.class, so let's say class equals that. And I would say MRO. Tell me, whoops. So the reason, so this is the lookup order from there. And the reason to do this and not just look at the under bases attribute is that, and then just climb that up, is that multiple inheritance can get funny, and it's nice to let this method give you the multiple inheritance stuff. So say Baz inherited from bar and some other stuff. It's a, I don't say simple, it's a doable algorithm, but there's no reason to do it ourselves if MRO will give it to us. And then we're going to walk over this thing. So over this, let's say for class in class.mro, which it does have itself in there, so that's good. We'll look for something. So get attr, this is not a good idea because this will itself do the hierarchy thing, but we could do class dot under dict. This would do it. Look for that thing. Let's say, let's ask if a thing like A, is A in there? If A is in there, then let's try to grab it. Value equals class of A, and let's break out. And now let's turn this into what has no get item? Type object class dot if A in class. Oh, I screwed up right there. All right, but we need to clean it up anyway. Oops, clean it up. Keep these around. They're fine, but then this is a function now. Def stuff. Hooray, Alexander says he learned something. That's awesome. It was there before. There's not that much lag. I just didn't get to see it for a bit. Define get attr, I'll call it, which I have to know. So we couldn't call it get attr because that's a thing already. We couldn't call it get attr. We couldn't call it get attribute because that's another thing. It's like a lower level one. So we're going to call ours get attribute. I'm going to call it attr. The way we're going to get that is we're going to take an object, obj attr. The class equals the type of obj. So let's just assume that we're talking about an instance here, and we're talking about new style classes. And for each class in that class's method resolution order, if attr is in there, you get value, and we should return value. How should we do this? How about let's return this, otherwise raise attribute error. Cool, and now we should be able to do things like foo dot, let's see, get attribute of foo_z. Totally didn't work. Looks like I never looked in. Z was the one that's in itself, but A would have worked, right? Nope. Type has no get item. I forgot to fix this thing. Oops. My keyword's messed up, so I keep hitting the wrong keys. Dot dict. There's wrinkles we aren't dealing with yet, but we'll get to those. So first, let's say if, you know what I'm going to do is just stick this in here. Well, we'll do it like this. Obj plus this. Also, let's say if not has adder obj. Right? How do you tell if something's new? We'll just hope that we're getting an object here. Great. A works, Z works, and B works. It's hard to tell if A and Z work, but presumably they do. So this is where we should have been writing tests if we're going to start with this code. So let's write some tests that those, well, it's still just background. I think it's a reasonable approach, kind of. The reason we're doing this is that what if, so the way that descriptor things work, so what if we went up and made one of those a property? So now there's a property. Now we're going to use the funny decorator syntax. Get thing. And we want to be careful not to actually run this thing. The cool part about these decorator things is that based on how you look them up, they behave differently. So they get to customize their behavior for what happens if you're called by an instance, what happens if you're called by a class. They kind of just get all the information of how they were called passed in to a function called under get. So now if I did this for get thing, I get a property object because I'm looking it up actually on that thing. So properties, we'd be golden if we just stopped here. Because properties choose to return themselves if they're being looked up on a class, but they run other code if they're not. Okay, so what's an example of, I guess we'll have to write our own descriptor. So properties are descriptors, and descriptors could, when you call that under get method, return something other than themselves. So since we're trying to do testy here, we're going to start running out of space. So I'm going to take this stuff, copy it, and I wonder what folder I'm in there. Temp. So now over here, I'm going to stop. Let's see. Let's do from temp import star, and over here, we're good. Cool. Okay, we're good. So what if in this chain here, class, I don't know how to spell the next one, Quux, perhaps? Is it Quux? Of bar, and this one of Quux. It's important for my nerd cred here. I'd love to know how to pronounce this. So this one is going to be more interesting descriptor, and I don't know an interesting descriptor off the top of my head, so I'm going to have to write one. So annoying descriptor, and we have to write our annoying descriptor. The way descriptors work is that they have a get of some args. I don't know what the args are, so whatever. Print, whoops. So annoying. So this is what's called, shoot, I don't remember. It either is or isn't a data descriptor because it does this get stuff. There's like a little nice how-to on descriptors online. It's great. In the official Python docs. But we're going to ignore that for now. It's mostly matters for just which one gets called first. Okay, so we're going to try looking up D, and being careful to actually get the descriptor object, not the get thing. Okay. Should we format to make the linter happy? All right, and I would hit F6, is it? Yes. So what happens if I get attribute on that foo object, which now is an instance of the baz class, which inherits from quux, which inherits from bar, and I try to get a D. I got the annoying descriptor. That's good. So this worked, whereas had I just done foo.d, well, I wasn't even able to do it because I eventually did it. And when I did it, this happened. In the meantime, a bunch of bpython tab completion stuff ran, causing both of these to happen. So I think our approach should basically be this. The last step will be figuring out what to do with this thing. Well, not that thing, but let's turn on auto reloading here. Auto reloading. So now I just have to run this file and we'll do this. Cool. Right, so I get my 1, but I'd really like to, no, we're good, we're good. Yeah, so the goal is to be able to, oh, right. What do we do if we get a descriptor? So if we do this thing and we get this annoying descriptor object, we're going to need to maybe detect those specifically and not ask if they're callable. What happens if I say like callable of underscore? Is it okay? False. Great. So there won't be a paren there. It'll just think you're going to get the descriptor and you're actually going to get something a descriptor would return. Okay. That should be good. All right. Next is being more rigorous about actually writing tests and thinking about this. I have to very loudly sip coffee for a little bit. I mean, this is not coffee. It's the wrong time of day. This is hot chocolate. Maybe even could what's the word? Heat up some of the rest of the hot cocoa here. Okay, so let's start. Well, we can start at the. I think we're going to need this small function of like get attribute, our own get attribute, and right. So maybe let's start with this. Nope, we're going to do it test driven. We're not going to start with that. We're going to start with nothing and drive with tests. In autocomplete, this thing belongs in introspection, or inspect, we call it. All right, and then in test, are these running now? Tests. Like I whisper as though you couldn't hear me, but you totally can. These are running now. So, don't you wish that we had a, let's give it a new class, this is so important. Test safe get attribute. All right. I'm going to top myself off here. So I guess we have to build up that same kind of the same stuff we had over here with all these examples. I'm wondering if I could describe it more carefully. So the most obvious thing we wanted to prevent was, no, we're not preventing at this point. We're just going to write our own get attribute. A bunch of encoding junk. Let's put it down. All right, this is good. I'll call it def safe get attribute of obj adder. And because we're being test driven, it doesn't do anything. We don't even have it yet. But over here, I want to say def test simple look. Okay, that's not good. Lookup on object. So do we have? So we have this stuff in here, but it's not really what we want. We'll make new stuff. Class A of object pass. It's going to be annoying to follow the style guide stuff with these. Maybe I shouldn't. You can put these on one line. Class B object B of A pass. All right, simple lookup. What if we had a and it had a x on it, which was 1? Can our thing, how have we imported this? Inspection. Can inspection dot is, what were we calling it? Is safe get attribute self dot assert equals make sure we get the right thing. Okay, that test is gonna fail. I've been listening to this podcast. What's the name of it? I don't know. Turing Incomplete, and it's a bunch of it's some people are really excited about TDD, and so they're inspiring me to like go for broke. Unit test. Safe get attribute. Oh, it doesn't exist. We better write it. And maybe this is a little silly, of course. The way we'll do this is return object, get adder of obj and adder. It's pretty silly because we did the design phase together before we were learning the background. But whatever. Maybe you all can stop watching and other people can watch because it's going to be the same thing. Did we just watch those pass? Have we done that yet? Yes, we did. Safe get attribute takes 2 arguments. Okay, let's call it with 2 arguments. If we call this on A, we better get 1. Now, if you call it on A and you look up X, you better get 1. Cool. All right. Next wrinkle, we better do, inheritance. Test lookup on. It's all kind of the same, isn't it? B equals one of these, and then when we do b dot y equals 2, and we look up y, we better get 2. All right. Does that pass? But that doesn't pass. It does. How does that work? Oh, because we're just doing get adder. Okay, great. So this naive approach is going to work until we get to the point of, yeah, this is where test TDD seems kind of funny. So that's going to work until we get to the def test. Avoid running descript. I'll say properties. So now we have, and we got any of these better. Well, A and B is fine, maybe. Property. Sure. Does that make sense? Property executed. Property under get executed. Because that's what in the descriptor it's called get. Okay. So now once we start inheriting, anything inherits from that, I'm tempted to like dynamically add this as a class of these, but it seems like a bad idea. Class inherits from property. No, we can just start with this. We don't, no inheritance necessary. We're going from simple to more complicated. What happens if we instantiate one of these and then try to look up something on it? Get safe attribute. This is going to be repeated code. It's going to get annoying. We should clean that up. How about set up? I really just want to partial it, right? I wish I had a thing that, if there's just one line, it's fine. So when I look at this P thing and I'll try to look up prop on it, what do I want to get back? I want to get back the actual prop. So I'm going to say property.dict prop. Property.prop would work fine for property. Prop. P dot, no, property.prop. Cool. People are telling me how to run a terminal, which is awesome because I want to know that, but I'm going to pay attention to you all instead. Test avoid running properties. So this should fail now, right? Because we don't actually avoid running properties. And when we try to do this, okay. Great. Property, the get was executed. Oh no. All right, so let's fix that by re-implementing what we have so far in terms of the way we built it before. So this doesn't work anymore. Now we have to go do this fancy stuff. But I don't get to just use this. I have to do it like carefully. So let's just say, let's grab the class. Let's say object dot, let's always get the type of the object, and then dot under dict of adder. Seems like that might work naively. Let's find out that that won't work. Why won't that work? Oh, it's because key error X. When we tried to safe get attribute AX, it didn't work. Why not? A.x. Oh, I actually would have expected that. Okay, here's, whoa. Okay, these tests were, we were putting them on the attribute, which is good, but we weren't really getting very far. Okay, I'm going to go back and fix these first. This is good. We're testing that you can actually do attributes. Then we add inheritance, but we don't really worry about it because we just look at the y. We ought to, these things should have things, basically. A equals 1, B equals 1. This one, sure, you can do that. But in addition, we should be able to safeget attribute of A, and it should be okay. Great. For this one, we need to be able to safeget attribute of B. That should also be 1. Let's have it be the string B. String A. All right. So ignore this test for now. Is test lookup on object working now? Test lookup on object is not yet working because, okay, as our implementation sucks. Right. So we're going to fix that. Oh, it's so easy to get off and go try to do more at once. We're going to fix that by having two parts to this. Sometimes you look there. So I'm going to say if this is a class, if type of obj how do you figure out if something is an instance? Right, so you've got, I guess we can do this here. So you've got, right, foo here. How do we figure out what kind of we could do like is instance object. That's fair. Maybe, right? That's like I am an object, whereas the class foo, whoops, class, don't we have a foo? We don't have a foo. The class bar, oh, is also an object. All right, that's no good. So I'm trying to ask, maybe it doesn't matter. What am I concerned about? I want to say that, so sometimes it'll be, all right, sometimes we look at the type of the thing, and sometimes we just look at the thing. Let's always look at the objects thing first. Yeah, okay. If, let's see, try return get object.dict so here yeah, this is better. And now we're up to the property thing. So we're looking for that and we didn't find it because there's inheritance going on there. We should have caught the inheritance with this. Right, now we catch the inheritance with this. Okay. How can we deal with inheritance? Well, now we'll do the MRO trick. So first we look at the object, then we look at its type. So what I'm worried about here is that this should work on classes and objects, but objects don't have MROs, I don't think. Sorry, what I mean by objects is like traditional objects, the things that are instances. Right, when I make one of these, it doesn't have an MRO. All right, so I'm going to base this on MRO. If you have an MRO, of course, has adder stuff might not work very well, right? Because that could be crazily redefined and whatever. I think we have a different code that takes care of that, but what if that would interact or something? No, we like get rid of the default. Yeah, those were fine. If it has an MRO, what goes first? The object, right? If obj has an MRO, then the class equals obj, else class equals type of obj. Okay, now this isn't special cased anymore. This, and then we keep going, and now we do this thing. Once we have a class, we can now say for each class, as you walk through, I see, but that was slick. We were adding it before. That was cool. All right, this is neater. And we'll keep that code together because we're going to have to look in slots. And can classes have slots? Anyone know? Because I definitely don't. All right, so the way we're going to do this then is if this has it, then to look through equals obj plus equals obj.mro. Otherwise, nope. Do this in either case. I obviously can't think without like changing code in front of me. To look through the class, we want to look through those. If object has that, then we're done. If it doesn't, then to look through, not append object. And what I meant by that was insert at the 0th position, and I forget how insert works. And fortunately, the lag's so much that one will have a chance to tell me. Insert. Ooh, no, that's okay. So I'm a little annoyed. Insert. A cool thing. I wasn't even thinking about this. A cool thing about having to add your own paren in bpython was you tab complete this thing before you tab complete this, and you'd finish it with a paren, and that would trigger the docs to come up. But now you have to hit a space for the docs to come up, which is awful. So we'll need to do something better than that. But we'll do it by customizing completion, not by hackily doing this. Okay. Sorry, what was the moral about insert? Index is the first argument. Okay. Index is the first argument to insert. All right, what do people think of that code? It's annoying to have to build this thing. Should we do this in an expression maybe? So we're like for class in obj.mro if, like a ternary here. For class in MRO, it is kind of fun to like optimize this to our content because we're kept on track by the class tests. By optimize, I mean like make look spiffy, not optimize. For class in object.mro, use object.mro. No, we'll just do yeah, nothing if has adder obj MRO. Oh, but that has to apply to this too. I don't know how to make this look pretty. Make it look like this for now. To look through. It's fine for now. Through. Okay. If the attribute's in that, for the class in to look through, if the attribute is in that dictionary, so we're walking up at our object, return it. We're going to need to deal with things that aren't objects later, but we're not going to do it until we have tests. This, and then otherwise raise attribute error. And later we can worry about formatting that attribute error. So do these tests pass now? A has no MRO. Oh. Darn, the design we did before makes more sense. Class equals obj if has adder obj MRO, else type of obj. And really, this conditional is for both things. So it should be like to look through equals object plus, we'll wrap it, object plus type of obj.mro if, this is a really small screen though. How's the resolution? How easy is this to read? It's readable, right? That's incredibly boring. Just optimize, just getting this really working. Object plus type of object.mro. If it has that, but otherwise just use type, just use obj.mro. Great. Almost fits on one line. We're not going to do that. Okay, that's to look through. And we're using a variable for it, which is gross. So we'll do that for now. Get the test passing, then we'll refactor it. That didn't do anything. Why not? If it has one, otherwise, oh yeah, that was dumb. All right, object plus this, if it has it, otherwise, so I reversed this condition. RO, if this, it really looks like it would fit. When we try to look P on prop, so properties don't work. When we try to look at P and look for a thing called prop, so it should have had a thing called P. P was what? P was the property. There should be an attribute on that called prop. And when I did safeget attribute, we raised a value error because we didn't see anything called prop. So whatever we're doing doesn't walk through the right classes. Huh. I'm glad that top one's working though. We're just looking at this now. for class and to look through. So presumably the first time through, it's meant to look through. Okay, we had a property instance. Oh, looks like an old style class. My fault, because I didn't inherit from object here. Sounds like a good time to add a check for that. Cool. Safe get attribute. It's attributes without triggering descriptors on new style classes. So let's write a test. Test throws, test raises if on old style class with self dot assert raises. Raise attribute error. So it didn't work. So let's go make it work. In here, if new style class, fortunately I just wrote a thing that does this. If new style class checked, if not new style class, raise value error. That didn't work, so I need practice with tmux. I think I forget. No, it's with Vim. That's the problem. I have different windowing keys for Vim and tmux. Great, so that's passing. What else is wrong? I think it's as functional as our demo before was. We just walk through things. I'm not sure what else we have the test framework set up, because I'm sure I've forgotten lots of things. And I will be able to add them as they come up, and will not have to remember them, which is awesome. What are other like funny Python cases? Stuff like, so slots is something to worry about. So what happens? Def test. So I'm tempted to do this in the REPL now. I really like doing this kind of thing in the REPL, but I'm trying to get more into tests. So we'll say test attributes test slots test lookup with slots. So background, take a nap if you know this. I mean, rest your eyes for a sec. Say we create a socket here. It doesn't actually have a dict. In fact, you can't just slap attributes on it, right? You know that thing that we do in Python to like scare off the Java people? where you just take any kind of object. You just like make a thing, Baz, and then you say, hey, what if this thing had a banana? And it was, its banana is 7. And people are like, oh my goodness, I thought we'd have to like ahead of time statically allocate space for that banana. But we don't because it's Python and our backs are dicks, but they're not all dictionaries. We have this socket here, which we can't just slap attributes onto. And instead it has this slots thing. So it has this list of, it's like a normal, like a struct or something, where it's like, hey, let's just have this many things. They're still references, but let's only have this many. I don't actually know if that's true. I think they're still references if like you do them with your own stuff, but shoot. I just said something. I don't know if it's true. I mean, I don't know. I don't know a ton about Python internals. I would like to know a lot more. Anyway, they're like this. You can do this in your own classes. We can do this. Object. You have to do it with new style classes. Just don't worry about old style classes. Don't use them. They're just a new, like a whole new set of things to learn, and they're just always worse. Slots equals. Let's have an A and a B. Cool. And now if I make one of these, B. Whoops. So our code doesn't work when we do this. Awesome. Okay, that's good. Good thing we're working on this. Where's the crash? So the problem was when we were getting matches, adder matches, adder lookup, we tried to call get adder of object with word, and we got an attribute error. Interesting. Okay, cool. Okay, because the B object didn't actually have that attribute yet. It was going to, but for now we got an attribute error. There was space. We would have been allowed to put it on there, but it wasn't there. All right. So we could add a test for this. We'll get back to it because it'll be super annoying when we try things with it. All right, so slots. What if you have a thing that has slots on it? Let's try our own slotsy thing first. Class slots object. What if we have one of these? S dot what? S dot, we're going to try to do our thing and just expect it to work, and it won't. So what if we did safe get attribute on our slotsy thing on S, and we tried to look up S1? What do we expect to happen? What would we like to happen? We want it to tab complete always because you might be setting it. If you were just getting it, then we want to check to see if it's there and only get it then. But we always want this to tab complete. So and let's assume it's not. We're going to skip our like paren stuff though. So we want to bail out. So what should a slot return? If there's no value there, we'd be lying if we said it was anything. We could make our API kind of complicated and say there's like a special sentinel value you can return, in which case that seems not great. So maybe we need to let logic about why we're doing this get attribute leak in here, which is really we just want to know if something's callable. Oof, code organization is hard. Let's go with sentinel values for now. So I'm gonna make a singleton here, or like just a piece of data, like a memory address that we can compare equals to. This one is going to be called attribute is singleton. Simpleton. Is slot. So this is what we do if it would be a slot. Okay, so we're never going to actually do anything with this. If we wanted, we could go to the trouble of making sure they're never instantiated. The point of this is that there's only one of them. It's a singleton in memory. As long as we don't load two copies of this module into memory, which doesn't usually happen in Python, right? When you import something, the second time you import it, it just uses the first one. So what I want to happen is that inspection.getSafe attribute of S2, this thing should give me inspection.attribute is slot. Would it be useful? Should we do this only if it's not there, but it could be a slot? So the issue here is you can have, right, let's use Python because this is going to crash on us. Let's use IPython, see how they do it, because they're generally awesome. Say we have that class foo here, and slots equals A, B, yeah. Let's just throw another thing on there for fun. Okay. Foo.c. Okay, they give me good autocompletion. Foo.c. Foo.a. Whoa, what is that? Okay, so apparently we get these little member objects when... What is that? Does not say. These look kind of, I don't know, it's let's look at it on an instance. We'll have to answer this question too, though. It's fine, we can just get the member object here, that's fine. But on an instance, how's it going to work? F dot, now can you see the bottom of the screen? You can. F dot A. We get an attribute error. Okay, totally reasonable. If F dot A is 1, we get 1, of course. That was sort of a silly thing to check. Let's have ours behave the same way. This won't tell us conclusively the slot. This is going to be attribute is empty slot. Empty. I'm not quite sure if the words semantically make sense, but great. So S equals S. If we look for S1, let's fill out S1. S.S1 equals 1. Let's thing in S1. And if I get that, it better be S1. But when I do it with the other one, it had better be inspection.attribute is empty slot. I mean, for API design, this is maybe not great. The whole Sentinel thing is not maybe great. And now whoever uses this returns attribute is empty slot if requested attribute does not have a value but is a slot entry. I don't know if that semantically makes sense either. Okay. Test raises on old style. Where were we? Look up with slots. Okay. Let's see if this passes. Of course it won't. The first one I would guess would work, and the second one won't. The first one doesn't work because slots object has no attribute dictionary. So now we need to stop looking in dictionaries immediately. And now we're going to be glad we have all this code in one place because it's going to get more complicated. So we have to know if something has a dict. Let's assume we can do that. If has adder class dict, we can do that in one line. And it's in there, then return it. Elif, I think it's elif, right? Can you have both? Can someone have slots and a dict? I don't know. I'm going to say yes. I'm going to say you can't. I don't know though. If has adder class slots, then so who has slots? Is it just the, does foo have dot slots? Yes. Does f have slots? Yes. Oh, probably the inheritance though. Right, right. Ooh, how does that even work? So, ooh, I do not understand how, well, how about we'll look at its dict. Doesn't have one of those. So slots is going to do inheritance for us, and we can't touch that. That's fine, right? What happens if we inherit from something that has slots, and then we add something with the same name? I'm just getting tricky. We have tests. We can just add those later. If it has a slots thing, then and adder is in class.slots. Return, I think it's just get adder now. How do you reach into the data of a thing? F dot slots is that. F dot A. So where's like the data? I don't really understand how slots work. Well, we'll just get in, reach in, and assume. See, this is why it's good to have tests, because I don't understand these problems. So all that we know is that the tests work, nothing else. All right. Return the get adder of class and the attribute. What if they have slots and that's not one of the things that we're looking up? Oh, no, we did that. And it's in the slots. Then just try to get it. Okay. Cool. I think this could work. Oops. But we'd have to run the tests to find out. Okay. S1 we thought was empty. Even though I said S equals S1, so when we did safe.get attribute of this, oh, that should be S2, that's why. Right, that's the one that we didn't fill out, yep. Okay, attribute error S2. That's where we wish it said, all right, so here we should split this apart. Try this, except attribute error, in which case return one of these things, or return this thing. Okay, whoops. Okay, that works. All right, we've dealt with slots. All right, I think that's good for now for this stuff. Now the goal of this whole safe get attribute thing was to reach in, get an attribute, find out if it's callable. So we have a this is callable thing. Yikes, some deep stuff when the comment says, look at this CPython issue. All right. So this whole well, it should be fine. Just occurs to me you should all put music on in the background because I'm not going to play music. But that way you can choose your favorite music and listen to it instead. It'll be great. So I think it's past time for commit. How are all of our tests doing? We should still just have that one failing one. Hopefully. I'll add a hot chocolate. It's kind of too bad. Oh, but there's a little, nope, there's not. Yes, so getter method's being called. So now we're going to go implement this in such a way that that doesn't call that anymore. What am I looking for? In attribute completion, right now, which is add our lookup. All right, right down here. We walk through the words that we found, the things we think we could put at the end, like the attributes, basically. And if they match what the current, like is on the line where the cursor is, and it's not built-ins for some reason, then the attribute object is the getAttr. So now instead we're going to say is the inspection. Yeah, is the inspection dot get safe get attribute. Did I call it safe dot attr or safe get attribute? Get attribute. Makes sense because get attr in Python is only like the default. It's like method missing in Ruby. It's just that it's only if you missed, if there wasn't anything to get. Attr obj equals inspection safe get attribute of on this object. Let's try to get that word. This is no longer scary. The question is, does that fix our tests? Nose tests. We have a different failure. In test descriptor attributes, test that descriptor attributes are not run. 223. So why do we think this should return a dot asserts when called? Because that's what we tried to look up. Com equals this. Match in locals properties. What is properties? But we did the lookup on the wrong thing. A points at properties. If you do a dot here, you should get out where A is properties. Why would you get all those things? It's kind of weird. Items in first set, but not in second. So we got out this suggests a bad test or some state that's hanging around somehow in the implementation. Okay, I'm just going to do this one more time to right. So we're not throwing an error now, that's good. When we look up a dot, we are looking at properties. Properties inherits from foo, I see, which has a and b and method on it. Great. So this is totally expected because all of those should complete. A dot b, a dot a, and a dot method, which has an open paren. Because we got back the earlier part. Asserts when called. Items in the first set, but not in the second. Oh, I forgot. Right. That one's still in there. And key to this is that this one does not have an opening paren on it because we didn't figure out what it was going to return. We're just going to return the property, even though the properties are not callable, so that's perfect. Great. That's definitely a commit. What have we done? So we've written this new thing. We've added safe get attribute. Use safe get. Safely get attributes on objects with the script in matter completion. Cool. All right, that's awesome. I'm going to push that and see if people can say anything about it. And I think I have some commits on master I need to push too. Nope, that's not true. Cool. Oh, I need to, shoot. I need to rebase those changes because they look disgusting. And all I did was push. I pushed to a branch on a public repo, but it's okay. It'll be fine. Git glog. I want to modify on my master now. Let's go back to recent branches. Check out callable adder parens. Oops. These. So that would be rebasing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 back. Wow, I have no idea how to go about this though. Safely get attributes. Yeah, when the first commit is that, it's not good. And it says that I did it there, but actually I didn't. So that was a first try. Add filling test, sure. Oops. Oh, I see. I'm reading them backwards, of course, because that's how rebases work. So this is the first commit where I said unsafely add. This work in progress I'd like to combine with this, squash, fix test, refactor into new style classes. wash, add failing tests. This is probably fine. All right, great. Okay, that's. I'll ask people to take a look at that, and I will try to think about ways to break it. Let's try to break it right now. Also, if anyone's listening and wants to ask about anything that we looked at some, somewhat unusual Python stuff. Be happy to talk about it. If you're watching on the YouTube thing, there's a little chat thing on the right side, just if you're interested. Even something like, I don't know, doesn't need, totally reasonable not to know any of these things, because it's all like silly, not silly, it's all detailed Python stuff. Or if you could ask, all those questions that I asked before that I didn't know the answers to. If you want to tell me the answers to those, it'd be awesome. I'm stumped. Wow, this is maybe a earlier time when I tried to do the same thing. Oh no, this is what I wrote earlier today. Okay, that makes sense. Oh, okay, so a test just came back from Travis, and this build failed in some way, so we could try to fix this. What? Didn't we try it and we liked it? Oh, okay, great, great. Look what we've got. Somebody tried to, so in the tests, why didn't we hit this? Test REPL? Did I never test everything in those tests? So we just had it raise an error when we tried to use it on old style tests, but people use old style tests for all sorts of things. Or sorry, the old style classes. Great. Okay, we have the same one here. I just never checked it. That was awful. So let's take a look at that. So safe get attribute. I propose we just give up on the other one. So inspection safe get attribute. So who called it? A second. Window management. All right, the problem here. So we were doing in get completer and matches and autocompletion. So yeah, in bpython autocompletion complete. Where does it make sense to do this? It's down here in adder matches. All right, adder lookup really. In here we say safe get of this. All right, we say method match of word, this thing. So the thing we ought to say is if inspection dot. It's really two different loops that we want to do. If it's new style. If the object is new style, then we can do this. We still want to add the parens to those, though. We just, okay, no. That's, yeah. We need a different thing in inspection. Is eval safe name? Nope. Safe get attribute. This should, with a name like that, it should work on both. So we're going to have another thing, test. Oh, it just doesn't. It doesn't raise. Well, it's nice to have it raise an attribute error or a value error. I mean, safe get attribute gets attributes without triggering descriptors in Newtown classes. Attribute empty slot, right? This should just work for both. So we need have a separate function for the new style one. I guess we'll do that. Def safe new get attribute new style, more function calls, whatever. It's a adder. Cool. And now we'll have a separate one down here, def test lookup. Well, this one will just be called test safe get attribute, which is super boring because all it does is call one of these two. What safe get attribute does is if is new style of obj, then return safe get attribute new style of obj adder. Otherwise, return get adder of obj adder. Safe get attribute. So this one's really boring. Presumably get attribute works, so we're really just testing the dispatching here. And we've already tested new style, so I'm kind of annoyed with testing this anyway, but I'm going to say I'm not going to test it. That's fine. I mean, the logic I should be testing is it's just this one conditional. Ugh. All right. So now, if everything went okay. And it didn't, because I screwed up. Return. My workflow could use some work. Like, there should be one button that sends the test to another tmux window or something, right? All right, we're good. Okay, that's most of what I wanted to get done. So yeah, I don't. What else would be fun? Ask. We'll take a look. I have some bugs that we found earlier today that probably not be as good of things to look at. So I guess I'll say that that's it. Again, I'm Battling T on Twitter. You should pip install bpython because it's awesome. Right. You should all. What are the other things that people do when they're kind of self-promoting? I said Twitter already. Twitter. What else? That's all I got. Standard shout out. There's a new batch of Hacker School starting tomorrow. I work at Hacker School. I think it's pretty cool. If you want to take time off from programming at work, you should come program with us. It'll be fun. It's free. It's not a boot camp. You just kind of come and work on whatever you want to work on. There's no curriculum, so no. We might program together for a bit. That's it. I should get paid for saying something like that. That's all I've got. All right, I'm going to end this. Man, it'd be fun to have a stream and have traditions and be like, oh, at the end of every stream I do this or something weird like that. I've already, if you've not seen, there's a bunch of stuff we just added to bpython. Hopefully we're going to release it this week, maybe. I need to do a few more sessions like this where I just find bugs. Although if I add this feature, we're going to need to test it some more. And stylistically, I don't know what you think. All right, so this is important. How do you feel about when you tab complete having that paren there? I'm not sure I like it. I love seeing it here. I think that's amazing. It's great to see, to be looking at these and know immediately which ones are methods. We'll hear about it's all. That's not very interesting. A equals 1. A dot. Yeah, that's great. Bit length, conjugate. We could even sort by that and put all the methods first or something. But I don't know how I feel about it tab completing it because I don't get the docs for it until I hit space. Are there no docs for conjugate? That's another thing. There are docs and I don't see them. That's not good. All right, so that's going to be a problem. Yeah. So sometimes docs don't display. Did I already write down this bug? Can we make a bugs file or something? Dict not showing up in tab completion. Okay. That's still the case, right? Well. Okay, let's add these. Dict not showing up in tab completion. And our other one just now was s.conjugate. A.conjugate. No docs. Should make sure these are problems with master first. Git branch. Also, Travis just came back failing again. What is it this time? This time it's just Python 3. And the problem is oh, of course, that's obvious. All right, those are both fixable. Everything's new style in Python 3. Check out. So we had two problems. They were with all right, skip this if by 3. The other thing to do is on line 62, just as new style. All right, all of these should be true. Skip if by 3. This if skip unless pi 3. Work on bpython 3. All right, well, okay, great. Other thing they really ought to do or do research and find out how other things do this, because they're probably smarter. Skip if pi 3. Oh, nice. You requires reasons. Skip pi 3. Okay, we're, oh, not yet. Not yet, wait for it. No. If. So we use a bilingual code base, which is becoming more common for Python projects, which is that every line of code you write has to work in two different languages, Python 2 and Python 3, unless you cheat like this and say, no, this line, only run this in Python 2, only run in Python 3. Branch. Cool. So maybe someone will tell me what they think of that. If anyone wants to give code review, you're totally welcome. These are on GitHub at bpython/ what is it? github.com/bpython/bpython, I think. Or we have issues, but that's fine. I can deal with those later. I'll mark some of those issues bite size, and I'd love to describe how to fix them if anyone's interested. I get paid all day to sit around at a computer, so I'd have time to help answer questions and such. All right, I think that's all I got. I'm gonna sign off. Thanks, this is super fun. I'm gonna do more of this. Now I need to know how to stop. I guess you hit the stop button right here. All right, thanks. See you guys later.